And here we go.
Welcome to the Great Work Insights Podcast by the O.C. Tanner Institute, the show that features the people, the professionals, the thought leaders, and the coolest companies. And now your host, the man navigating the discussion about the culture, the organized chaos, and the best practices that compel great work, Todd Nordstrom.
My son came home from school the other day with his report card. And honestly, there was nothing spectacular on the report card that stuck out. The kid is doing all right. What I did notice, however, was that something was missing. Report cards have changed since I was a kid. Sure, there were the typical subjects like math and language and science and so on, but there wasn't a box for what was one of my favorite report card categories. Remember that box that read, plays well with others? I wonder why that box doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so we can debate about the necessity of such a box, as some of you might argue that it's not as important as math or science or language or social studies or what have you. But that doesn't mean that plays well with others isn't important. In fact, it's critical. Think back to your playground. Of course, there were always one or two kids who really found it difficult to play well with anyone. No matter what the situation was, these are the kids who seemed to find trouble. But for the majority of us, being disagreeable or squabbling about something wasn't about a personality fault or a behavior problem. It was about the fact that we hadn't found the right sandbox, the right kids to play with, the right group of people that somehow brought out the best in us rather than the worst in us. Now think about your work history, the different companies you've worked for, teams you've worked in, and maybe the bosses you've had in the past. Most likely you can remember a few that were negative, many that were just, it's okay, and hopefully a few that brought out the best in you. My guest today is a longtime friend, and he has a long history of bringing out the best in people. He's a guy that really knows a lot about what brings out the best in people. Harry Paul is a professional speaker and author. He has co-authored 7 business books, including Fish, a proven way to boost morale and improve results. By the way, Fish is one of the best-selling business books of all time. And then there's his latest book, which I find very interesting, which is titled, Who Kidnapped Excellence? Harry, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Todd. Looking forward to this time together.
Harry, I want to start the show by saying that I grew up in northern Minnesota, where fishing is a way of life, but I have never met someone who has told as many fish stories as you. Your book, Fish, is one of the best-selling business books ever. So for the 2 or 3 listeners who may not be familiar with Fish, share a little bit about what the book is about.
Well, thanks, Todd. It's easy to say, okay, the book Fish is about a fish market in Seattle, but there's a message there that we call the fish philosophy, which is choose your attitude, be there, play, and make people's day. That in itself is a great way and a great attitude to take to work every day and at home. But I think there's something underlying that's even more important and that'll help us get up every day and say, I get to go to work instead of have to go to work. And that's what I believe the success of the Fish book came. It gave people a choice to enjoy what they're doing no matter what it is they're doing. Because a lot of times, a lot of people are not lucky like you and me who get to do what we love to do. Mm-hmm. They have jobs, they have to go to work every day. Fish gave them a philosophy, a guidelines on how to look at what they do, understand what they do, and enjoy it. It gave people a choice, and that's one of the things that seems to be missing nowadays is choice and getting to choose in any given set of circumstances. That's what we need as people. We need choices. We want to be in control. We want to decide our destiny and our direction. And I think that's a big part of the success of Fish, besides that great philosophy, is the freedom to choose.
Yeah, and of course you're talking about in those fish markets these guys that you think that they're really just handling fish all day long that could stink or whatever, but really they're flinging them around, they're having a ball. That's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. And what's the proof of that? Okay, so they come to work, they have fun, they enjoy what they're doing, they're bringing the people in, the customers into that fun. Okay, so they have fun at work. Does it help with the success? Well, where they're located in Seattle at an outdoor market called the Pike Place Market down there, public market, there are 3 other fish markets within 100 yards selling the same fish for the same price. And we've only heard of one, the world-famous Pike Place Fish Market. What's that say?
Yeah.
This works because what they actually do, they're choosing to create unique customer experiences, and people flock to them. They are the most successful 1,200 square feet of retail space in America. So choosing to come to work, make a difference in people's lives, has huge benefits to the bottom line.
Yeah, and the message obviously continues to be impactful as Fish is just celebrated 15 years. You and I have known each other for a long time, and I can't say it enough. Congrats on the success of the book. But I want to talk about your newest book, because this new message, I think, is so timely. The book is titled "Who Kidnapped Excellence?" Are you inferring that as a society we're not chasing excellence anymore?
I don't want to be so bold as to say we're not chasing it. I think we think we're chasing it, and maybe that's just a political cop-out. But what happens, we want to do the best, we want to give our best, but what gets in the way? Life, work, distractions, all the time. I mean, I'm old enough to remember only getting emails from people I knew. That never happens anymore. And so we're so involved in what we have to do, we forget about how we go about doing it. Because Who Kidnapped Excellence, chasing excellence, is cultural. We work for a company who chases excellence. We work for a company that wants people to come to work every day and give and be their best. That's cultural. That is focusing on what we do, but also how we go about doing it and how we treat each other. The big scare, I think, when we were putting this book, Who Kidnapped Excellence, together is who kidnapped excellence? Average has kidnapped excellence. The first reaction people have, companies have, management, doesn't matter, front line, is our excellence wasn't kidnapped. I've seen excellence. I've seen excellence today. I've seen excellence yesterday. They go into that state of denial. And as they deny, the more they deny, what happens, it's really scary, is they start accepting average as their excellence. And when that happens, the culture starts to suffer, the bottom line starts to suffer, productivity starts to suffer, turnover happens, and you have a company in free fall because they're not chasing excellence. Can we ever achieve excellence? I don't know, but I certainly know that we shouldn't be chasing average.
Let's talk about culture for a second, because I think it's interesting. Cultures are made up of everyone, all the people, correct? And yet there are a lot of listeners to this show that are leaders of companies. They're in the HR space. They're looking at culture and they're saying, how do we create cultures of excellence? Is culture is it a product of leadership? Is it a product of the people on the front line? Talk more about culture, Harry.
Well, I think culture is everyone's responsibility. And the first thing we have to do is understand that, yes, it's everyone's responsibility, and it's imperative to have a strong culture in an organization. It's also, you have to understand that it is something that's tangible. You can feel, you can see, and you can understand culture and the difference it makes. Those are two important things to remember. Third, it's an identity of the organization, and it's okay that it's fluid and that it changes, just as long as it's changing in a positive direction. Even the fish market that we wrote about in Fish, there are 22 fishmongers that work there. One Thursday out of every month, They get together over dinner and talk about their culture, what's working, what's not, what has to be done differently. That's how important it is. It's not a moving target. It's a target. It's something that evolves. Also, employees have to understand that they are responsible. They're definitely responsible for the culture and to make it better. Everyone is. The leaders might set the direction, but the people are responsible with the leaders of creating that culture. And also, HR has a role in this. Mm-hmm. Their job is to make sure everyone understands the culture, gives them the guidelines and the boundaries to allow the culture to create that culture. And it should be part of the strategy of an organization. You look at big companies now that are doing very well, and people will talk about a Google or a Zappos. They have strong cultures, very strong cultures. They always talk about the success. They talk about certain things they do, measuring your degree of weirdness and all. But when you look at, like, Zappos, is like, Amazon, they're all customer-centric culture, excellent culture organizations, bringing out the best in people, wanting people to communicate with each other, sharing ideas, and getting them implemented. That's all culture, and that's all success. And I think I just named three of the most successful companies in the world today, and throw in Apple.
I think it's interesting, too, because I think a lot of people, when you talk about culture, they think they need to create one. But, culture exists whether it's good or bad, And you and I were on the phone not too long ago, and you mentioned a culture of excellence. It's like you have to, explain what that strong culture is. What is a culture of excellence? And two-part question, I guess. What do we need to get one or be part of one?
Okay. Well, first of all, you're right. Every company, every family has a culture, good or bad. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So you have it. You might as well start to work on making it the best. And culture, the company can have a culture. What is our responsibility to that culture? That's what it'll allow to grow, to flourish, to make a difference. And I think we have to understand as people that when we're chasing excellence, when we're chasing a culture of excellence, it's an inside-out proposition. It comes from me. If I have problems with my excellence, I look at the mirror because that's the problem. Mm-hmm. And I am measuring my best against me. I'm not measuring my best against you. I have to measure it against me. Hmm. I have to be the best that I can be. As much as I'd like to, I'll probably never be able to dunk a basketball or run through hit a curveball or a fastball over the fence. But what can I do? There's lots of other things I can do really, really, really well. So it's measured against my best, not yours. Also, the one thing about when you're moving towards a culture of excellence, you're in a race. The best part about that race is there's no second best. You're the one in the race. It's your excellence you're chasing, no one else's. And there are what we call 5 pillars that must be present in all cultures of excellence for people to make a difference. And the 4 things are passion. You have to inspire energy, enthusiasm, and caring in everyone. Also, to chase that culture of excellence, you have to have competency. You have to make sure everyone has all the skills they need to be and do their best. Also, and this one's a real challenge today, communication. How we communicate with each other. Are our goals and our roles clearly communicated? Also, flexibility. That's change. Have a plan, but be prepared to change because things change all the time. And the 5th pillar, ownership. Take responsibility. Own your job, but own things that you see that may not be the best, right? Take responsibility for that. One of the things, what I said just before I got into the 5 pillars, All 5 pillars must be present. If you miss on any one of these, you are not moving towards a culture of excellence. What you're moving towards is a culture of average. All 5 must be present. Take out passion, what do you have? Take out competency, what do you have? Take out flexibility, what do you have? You have average. Mm-hmm. So you have your 4 tenets of, understanding that it's an inside-out proposition. It's measured against your best. There is no second place. You're in the race, but you're only the one racing. And all 5 pillars of passion, competency, communication, flexibility, and ownership must be present.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff, too, because when you talk about removing any one of those, I was trying to poke a hole in your theory, and I couldn't do it. And then, just thinking about different people I know or stages in my own career where maybe I went to a job and I had the passion and I had the competency and I had the communication and the flexibility for sure, but maybe I didn't feel ownership, or maybe I didn't, or another place maybe I had all of them except I didn't have the passion or what have you. And it's really interesting to look at that list of passion, competency, communication, flexibility, and ownership. Harry, it's always fascinating to talk to you, and entertaining as always. I know you spend a lot of time on stage speaking to big groups. If listeners want to learn more about you and all of your books, 7 books, correct?
7 books, yeah. That's I'm very proud of that, actually. When you said it sounds really good, Todd.
The 7-book man, Harry Paul, where can we find you?
Easiest way is at my website, which is harrythefishguy.com. It has all my contact information. I welcome people to contact me. One of the unique things I've done, 7 books, 8 million copies. Every book has my cell phone number, 760-212-8993. Printed in it, and my personal email address, which is the Pauls, THEPAULS @cox.net. Someone said, "Why, are you crazy? People will contact you. People will ask you questions. People will send you stuff." I go, "Yeah, I hope so."
That's aggressive. Wow. But good for you. But it doesn't go out of control?
Never. I wish more people would take advantage of it, because my mission, we all have a mission and a vision in life, is to help people do and be their best at work, and go to work and enjoy it. Get to that point where they go, "I don't work because I love what I do." And I know there's a million quotes out there that says that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact is, that's what I like to do, is help people understand that what they're doing, how it makes a difference, to allow them to get up in the morning and say, "I get to go to work. I don't have to go to work."
Wow. Well, there you have it. A personal invitation to contact Harry one-on-one, or go to www.harrythefishguy.com. Thanks, Harry.
My pleasure, Todd.
What did you think of today's show? The conversation continues on www.octanner.com. Be sure to leave us a comment. Also, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to all our podcasts on iTunes. Now get out there and build something beautiful. It's your turn now.